The notification popped up, mocking me from Novelle's Instagram story. Why settle for average when you can have luxury? Nail polish a perfectly manicured hand, her hand, holding a champagne flute against the backdrop of some ridiculously pristine infinity pool. My stomach dropped faster than a lead balloon. Just 2 days ago, I'd sat her down, an apology already forming on my tongue, explaining how the market had tanked, how my bonus had been vaporized, and that our planned Bali getaway, specifically the five-star resort she'd been hyping for months, was simply out of reach this year. Her face had been a mask of disappointment, sure, but she'd said she understood, said it was fine, we could do something smaller, something local. Turns out fine meant public shamming and a subtle, yet undeniably pointed, jab at my financial situation for all her 10K followers to see. My phone felt heavy in my hand, an unread message from my buddy Cairo buzzing unnoticed. This wasn't just a miscommunication, this felt like a betrayal. My thumb hovered over the message Cairo had sent. Dude, you see Novelle's story? Ouch, I could practically hear his wince through the text. It confirmed my worst fears, everyone was seeing it. Everyone was putting two and two together. Lucen couldn't afford her luxury trip. Lucen is average. The shame burned through me, a bitter taste in my mouth. I had tried so hard, working extra shifts, pulling all-nighters, even picking up freelance gigs on the side just to keep up with her expectations, with the lifestyle she constantly hinted at, constantly desired. And this was my reward. This public declaration that I wasn't enough, that my efforts, my love, my very self, were somehow lacking because I couldn't conjure a five-star resort out of thin air after an unexpected financial hit. The sheer audacity of it, the callous disregard for my feelings, for our relationship, it just floored me. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my shaking hands. My first instinct was to call her, to demand an explanation, to yell, but what would that achieve? More drama, more public spectacle if she decided to take our fight to the internet. Instead, I typed out a careful message, trying to keep my tone neutral, though my fingers trembled with suppressed anger. Novelle, I saw your story. Can we talk about it? It wasn't a question. It was a command, laced with all the unspoken hurt and confusion I felt. I pressed send, watching the single gray tick turn blue, indicating she'd seen it. The waiting began, each second stretching into an eternity as I imagined her on the other end, perhaps smirking, perhaps feigning ignorance, perhaps already crafting her next perfectly curated, perfectly hurtful post. Her reply came minutes later, maddeningly casual. Oh, it's just a vibe, what's the big deal? The words hit me like a physical blow, a vibe. As if my financial struggles are shared plans and my very feelings were just some trivial background noise to her aesthetic. The audacity of her minimizing it, pretending it was nothing, twisted the knife deeper. No, Novelle, it's not just a vibe, I typed back, my resolve hardening. It's pretty disrespectful given our conversation yesterday. It felt deliberate, aimed squarely at me. The truth was, she knew exactly what she was doing. This wasn't some innocent post. It was a calculated move, a power play, a passive-aggressive swipe meant to communicate her dissatisfaction without actually having to say the uncomfortable words to my face. My jaw clenched so tight it ached. The silence that followed stretched on, a heavy, suffocating blanket. I could almost hear her typing, deleting, retyping, crafting the perfect deflection, the ideal excuse. When her next message finally arrived, it was a masterpiece of gaslighting. You're overreacting, Lucen. I can't believe you're making this about you. It's just an aspirational post. Plenty of people post things like that. My blood ran cold. She was turning it back on me, accusing me of self-centeredness. This wasn't the first time she'd pulled this move, making me question my own reactions, my own sanity. I remember countless arguments where she'd twist my words, minimize my feelings, and then paint me as the unreasonable one. But this time it felt different. The public nature of her aspirational post made it impossible to ignore, impossible to internalize as just my problem. My phone started buzzing again, this time with calls from other friends. Dale messaged, bro, she serious, that's messed up. Silas called, his voice laced with concern, you good man, what's going on with Novelle? Each message, each call was another affirmation that I wasn't crazy, that my reaction was valid. The public shamming was real. My friends, the ones who actually knew my struggles, my work ethic, saw right through Novelle's vibe. It was a bittersweet validation. Good to know my friends had my back, but painful that it came at the cost of my relationship being aired out like dirty laundry. I felt a growing sense of clarity, a harsh light shining on aspects of Novelle's character I had deliberately ignored or rationalized away over the past year. This wasn't a partner, this was a performance. I thought back to earlier in our relationship, the small comments that had always bugged me but I dismissed. A casual remark about my car not being new enough. A preference for high-end restaurants even when I suggested something more cozy and affordable. Her constant scrolling through luxury travel blogs, sending me links with captions like we have to go here. I always saw it as ambition, as her wanting the best for us, a drive for a better life. Now looking at that Instagram story, the veneer shattered. It wasn't about us. It was about asterisk her asterisk image, asterisk her desires, asterisk her asterisk projected lifestyle, and I was merely a means to an end, a financial provider who had just failed to deliver. The sting of that realization was sharper than any individual comment she had ever made. Our conversations about money had always been delicate, almost taboo. I preferred a comfortable, stable life, investing for the future, enjoying quality experiences without breaking the bank. Novelle, however, seemed to live for the immediate gratification of luxury, the Instagrammable moments, the status symbols. When I tried to explain my investment strategies, she'd glaze over, saying I was boring her or that she trusted me to handle it, just make sure we could afford nice things. I wanted to build something together, a future based on mutual respect and shared goals. She wanted a highlight reel. The Bali trip was supposed to be a compromise, a big splash for her, but one I had planned meticulously, saving for months. My efforts were clearly not appreciated, only the result mattered. The specific details of the Bali planning replayed in my head like a cruel movie. She sent me links to resorts that cost more per night than my monthly rent, dismissing my suggestions for slightly more modest but still incredibly beautiful options with a huff. No, loosen, if we're going to Bali, we're doing it right. I don't want some budget hostel vibe. I remember feeling a knot in my stomach, already knowing I was stretching my limits. I wanted to make her happy, to see her light up with joy. So I pushed myself, I said yes, I promised her the world, or at least a 5-star slice of Bali. And then the market took its unpredictable nosedive, and all my careful planning, all my sacrifices were swept away, leaving me with nothing but the impossible task of explaining it to her. Her initial reaction, the feigned understanding, felt like a performance now. She nodded, her lips pursed, saying, I understand, honey, really, it's okay. We'll figure something out, we can always just do a staycation. The words sounded hollow even then, but I wanted to believe her, wanted to believe that our connection, our love, was stronger than a luxury vacation. I wanted to believe she valued me for me, not for what I could provide. That brief flicker of hope, of reassurance, was now completely extinguished, replaced by the burning ember of her Instagram post. It was okay, she didn't understand. She wasn't willing to compromise. She was willing to throw me under the bus publicly for her perceived inconvenience. I thought about all the times I'd bent over backward trying to accommodate her increasingly expensive tastes. The designer handbag she'd subtly hinted at for her birthday, which I bought on credit because I couldn't bear to disappoint her. The elaborate dinners she expected, where I'd secretly pick the cheaper wine options to save a few bucks. It wasn't just about Bali, it was a pattern. A pattern of me constantly trying to prove my worth, constantly chasing an ever-moving goalpost of her satisfaction, while she in turn seemed to take it all for granted, expecting more, always more. And when I couldn't deliver on a single major expectation, this was the result. It was a vicious cycle I hadn't fully recognized until this moment of stark clarity. The calls and texts continued to pour in. My sister Cashin, who usually stayed out of my relationship drama, even messaged me. Lucen, what is going on? Mom saw Novelle's post and is asking questions. This was it. My family, who always admired Novelle's charm and beauty, was now seeing her true colors. The embarrassment was excruciating, but underneath it, a fierce anger began to simmer. I had defended her countless times to friends and family, making excuses for her occasional self-centeredness, brushing off her materialistic tendencies as just her quirks. But there was no defending this. This was a direct, public attack on my character and my financial standing, something deeply personal and utterly disrespectful. I decided to call Novelle. No more texts, no more hiding behind screens. I needed to hear her voice to confront her directly. She answered on the third ring, her voice surprisingly chipper. Hey babe, what's up? As if nothing had happened, as if she hadn't just publicly shamed me. My blood boiled. What's up, Novelle? Seriously, you posted that after our conversation? Do you have any idea how that makes me look? How it makes us asterisk look? My voice was tight, controlled, but the anger was palpable, vibrating through the phone line. I was done with being passive, done with letting her dictate the narrative. This was my moment to stand up for myself, even if it meant destroying what little was left of our relationship. She immediately shifted to defensive mode, her tone hardening. Lucen, I already told you you're overreacting. It's just a post. You know I love luxury. Is it so wrong to aspire to nice things? You promised me Bali. You promised me that resort. Her words twisted my stomach. She was blaming me, turning my disappointment into her disappointment, my efforts into my failure. It wasn't about her asterisk aspirations. It was about my asterisk inability to fulfill them, and she was making sure everyone knew it. Her complete lack of empathy, her refusal to acknowledge the hurt she had inflicted, was staggering. It felt like I was talking to a brick wall, a wall decorated with designer labels and aspirational vacation photos. No, Novelle, I didn't promise you anything I couldn't deliver on, I shot back, my voice rising despite my efforts to stay calm. I promised you a trip, a beautiful experience, and I saved for it. The market crashed, it was unforeseen. And when I explained that to you, you supposedly understood. This post proves you didn't understand anything. It proves you only care about appearances and what I can provide. It's not just a post, Novell, it's a message, and I got it loud and clear. My chest felt tight, a mix of heartbreak and bitter resignation washing over me. This wasn't just an argument, it was the unraveling of everything I thought we had built. There was a pause, a moment of silence where I could almost hear her processing, calculating her next move. Then her voice, dripping with false sweetness, returned. Look, I'm sorry if you interpreted it that way. That wasn't my intention. I just want to live my best life, and I thought you wanted that for me too. Don't you want to provide me with the best? Her manipulation was so transparent, so practiced, it almost made me laugh. She wasn't apologizing for the post, only for my interpretation of it. And that last line, don't you want to provide me with the best? It was a direct hit, aimed at my masculinity, at my sense of responsibility as a partner. It was her go-to tactic, making me feel inadequate for not meeting her unreasonable demands. No, Novell, I don't want to be an ATM or a status symbol. I want a partner, I said, my voice now firm, resolute. Someone who respects me, who understands that life has ups and downs, and who doesn't publicly shame me when things don't go perfectly. Someone who values me, not just my wallet. I finally articulated the core of my dissatisfaction, the quiet erosion of my self-worth over months of trying to keep up. The words felt liberating, even as my heart ached. It was over, I knew it in that moment with absolute certainty. There was no coming back from this, no patching up a relationship built on such fundamentally different values and such a deep lack of respect. Her voice turned cold, dropping the sweet facade. So what are you saying, Lucen? Are you breaking up with me over an Instagram post? The incredulity in her tone was almost comical if I wasn't so devastated. It was just asterisk an Instagram post, and she knew it. It was the culmination of countless small slights, of feeling consistently undervalued and unappreciated. Yes, Novell, I'm saying exactly that. It's not just the post, it's what the post represents. It's what you represent. It's not fair to either of us to keep pretending we're on the same page. I need someone who's a partner, not a brand ambassador. The finality of my words hung in the air, heavy and irreversible. Line went silent again. I waited, expecting a tirade, a fit of anger, but she simply hung up. No dramatic goodbye, no tearful plea, just a sudden click that severed our connection both literally and figuratively. I stood there, phone still pressed to my ear, the dial tone a mournful hum. A wave of emotions washed over me, relief, sadness, anger, and a profound sense of exhaustion. It was finally over. The constant pressure, the endless striving to meet her impossible standards was gone. But so was the person I thought I loved, the future I had envisioned, shattered by a single, perfectly curated, passive-aggressive Instagram story. My apartment felt strangely quiet, the silence almost deafening after the storm. My immediate impulse was to scroll through her profile to see if she'd deleted the post or worse, put up another one. But I resisted. I had to break the cycle. I had to focus on myself. I deleted her number, unfollowed her on every social media platform, and blocked her. It felt drastic, a surgical removal of a toxic presence. The pain was still there, a dull throb in my chest, but it was cleaner, less complicated than the tangled mess of emotions I'd been living with. My phone buzzed with a message from Cairo. "You all right, man?" I typed back, "Yeah, I will be, it's over." He immediately called, and just hearing his supportive voice, his understanding, was a balm to my raw nerves. The next few days were a blur of self-pity and reluctant acceptance. I spent a lot of time replaying conversations, dissecting moments, seeing the red flags I'd deliberately ignored. Her constant need for external validation, her thinly veiled contempt for anything she deemed average, her expectation that I would implicitly understand and cater to her unspoken desires. It was all there, clear as day now. I realized I hadn't just been in a relationship, I'd been in a performance, constantly trying to meet an audience of one's expectations. The realization was painful but also incredibly freeing. It was an expensive lesson both emotionally and financially, but one I knew I desperately needed to learn. Novell surprisingly reached out a week later. A text from an unknown number, "Lucen, I miss you. Can we talk? I know I messed up." My heart gave a stupid little flutter of hope, quickly squashed by the cold, hard logic of experience. Messed up? She didn't mess up. She showed me who she truly was. I remembered her saying, "I just want to live my best life." I realized her best life didn't involve partnership or compromise, but rather a curated existence fueled by external validation and material possessions, a life I could never truly provide, nor did I want to. I took a deep breath and deleted the message without replying. There was nothing left to say, nothing left to fix. My friends were incredible, rallying around me, distracting me, listening patiently as I rehashed the entire ordeal. Silas took me out for beers, just listening, not judging. Dale helped me clear out some of Novelle's things from my apartment, making light jokes to ease the tension. My sister Cashin called every day, making sure I was eating, sleeping, just being there. Their unwavering support was a stark contrast to Novelle's self-serving attitude, and it made me appreciate the genuine connections in my life even more. It was a tough period, but knowing I had a solid support system made all the difference, reminding me that true wealth isn't measured in designer brands or five-star resorts, but in genuine human connection. As weeks turned into months, the sting began to fade. I started investing in myself again, picking up hobbies I'd neglected, focusing on my career goals with renewed vigor. I realized how much emotional energy I'd poured into trying to make Novelle happy, energy that was now mine to reclaim. The incident, while humiliating at the time, became a powerful lesson. It taught me the importance of financial compatibility, of shared values, and above all, of self-respect. I learned that compromise is a two-way street, and true partnership means facing challenges together, not publicly shamming one another when times get tough. I was slowly but surely rebuilding my sense of self one step at a time. I even ran into Novelle once, months later, at a mutual friend's party. She looked the same, perfectly put together, radiating that aspirational glow. She approached me, a practiced smile on her face. "Hey Lucen, it's good to see you. You're looking well." My heart didn't flutter this time, it stayed steady, calm. I smiled back, genuinely, "You too, Novelle." We exchanged polite, superficial pleasantries, and then I gracefully extricated myself from the conversation, moving to chat with Cairo, who gave me a knowing nod. There was no bitterness, no anger, just a quiet understanding that our paths had diverged, and that was okay. I no longer felt the need to prove anything to her or to anyone else. My social media, once a minefield of potential passive-aggressive posts, became a space for genuine connection and sharing my own journey. I even posted about my modest road trip to the mountains with Cairo and Dale, a simple tent and campfire, the stars brighter than any infinity pool. The caption was deliberately understated. Sometimes the best luxury is just being present. No hashtags about designer brands, no subtle digs, just a genuine moment of happiness. It felt authentic, something Novelle would never understand. The comments were full of positive vibes, friends genuinely enjoying seeing me happy and thriving. It was a stark contrast to the performative social media life I had unknowingly been living. Looking back, the Instagram post was a blessing in disguise, a harsh but necessary wake-up call. It forced me to confront uncomfortable truths about my relationship and my own willingness to compromise my values for someone else's expectations. I learned that financial stability isn't just about the numbers in your bank account, it's about a shared philosophy, a mutual understanding of what truly matters. Novelle wanted luxury, I wanted peace, partnership, and genuine connection. We were fundamentally incompatible, and her public declaration simply ripped off the band-aid, allowing me to finally heal. I was still working on myself, but I was doing it for me, not for a perfectly curated Instagram story. I often reflect on the phrase Novelle used. Why settle for average when you can have luxury? For a long time it stung, making me feel inadequate. But now I see it differently. What she considered average, a stable income, practical choices, genuine experiences over performative ones, I now consider rich. Rich in self-respect, rich in authentic connections, rich in a future built on solid ground rather than fleeting trends. I didn't settle for average, I settled for real. And that, in its own way, is the greatest luxury of all. I finally understood that true wealth isn't about what you can flaunt, but about what you value, what you nurture, and the kind of partner you choose to build a life with. My life now without Novelle is undeniably less flashy, less curated for public consumption, but it's infinitely more fulfilling. There's a quiet strength that comes from embracing who you are, what you value, and refusing to bend to external pressures. I'm focusing on my career, saving for a down payment on a place, and enjoying quality time with friends and family. I'm learning to trust my gut instincts, especially when red flags appear. The sting of that Instagram post still occasionally surfaces, a faint echo of betrayal, but it's no longer a wound. It's a scar, a reminder of a valuable lesson learned, a testament to the fact that sometimes the most painful endings lead to the most profound new beginnings. I even started dating again, slowly, cautiously. This time I'm prioritizing compatibility, communication, and a shared understanding of life's practicalities. I look for someone who values experiences over possessions, who sees true partnership as a journey of mutual support and growth, not a one-sided provision of material desires. It's a different approach, one born from the ashes of my relationship with Novelle. I'm not rushing into anything, taking the time to truly get to know someone, to understand their values, and to ensure that our definitions of a good life align. The fear of another public shamming is gone, replaced by a quiet confidence in my own worth. One evening, I found myself scrolling through old photos on my phone, pictures from happier times with Novelle. I saw her beaming, clutching a gift I'd bought her, or laughing as we explored a new city. For a moment, a pang of nostalgia, a ghost of what I thought we were. But then I saw the underlying current, the subtle pressure in her eyes, the way her gaze would drift to something more expensive, more luxurious. It wasn't just my imagination, it was her fundamental wiring. The realization solidified my resolve. The love I felt was real, but it was for an idealized version of her, a version that never truly existed. It was a hard truth, but a necessary one to accept for my own healing. My friends sometimes bring up Novelle, usually to check in on me to ensure I'm still doing okay. I tell them I am, and I genuinely mean it. There's no bitterness, just a profound sense of peace. I don't wish her ill, but I also don't wish for her back. I hope she finds what she's looking for, whether it's genuine happiness or just endless luxury, but I know it won't be with me. My path is different now, clearer, focused on authenticity and real connection. The quiet satisfaction I feel from a shared meal with friends, a challenging hike, or a productive day at work far outweighs any fleeting joy a designer label or an opulent vacation could bring. The internet, once the source of my humiliation, has become a place where I cautiously share small glimpses of my real life. I posted a photo of my newly organized home office, a space I'm proud of, a place where I build my future. The caption read, "My kind of luxury, a clear head and a productive space." No champagne flutes, no infinity pools, just honest, simple satisfaction. The likes and comments were from people who truly knew me, who understood. It was a quiet rebellion against the superficiality that had almost consumed me. A declaration that my definition of success and happiness was entirely my own, and it didn't need anyone's approval, especially not Novelle's. I've learned that true luxury isn't about the price tag, it's about peace of mind. It's about being able to sleep at night knowing you're true to yourself, that you're surrounded by people who love and respect you for who you are, not for what you can provide. It's about having a partner who stands by you through thick and thin, who celebrates your successes and supports you through your challenges without resorting to public shamming. My journey has been messy, painful, and public, but it has led me to a deeper understanding of what truly matters in life. And for that, I am surprisingly grateful, even for that Instagram post. The story of why settle for average when you can have luxury has become a personal anecdote, a cautionary tale I sometimes share with close friends who are navigating similar relationship issues. It serves as a reminder that compatibility extends beyond shared interests or physical attraction. It delves into fundamental values, financial philosophies, and the way partners handle adversity. My experience with Novelle taught me that a relationship without mutual respect is inherently unsustainable, no matter how much you might want to make it work. The foundations must be solid, built on trust and understanding, not on the shifting sands of Instagram aesthetics and unfulfilled luxury demands. I'm moving forward, not forgetting the past, but integrating its lessons. I'm building a life that feels authentic to me, not a life designed to impress others. The memory of that notification of the burning shame and betrayal has transformed into a quiet resolve. I am enough, my efforts are enough, my choices are valid, and the kind of partner I seek will celebrate that, not diminish it. It's a journey, not a destination, but I'm finally on a path that feels right, a path towards genuine happiness, free from the pressure of living up to someone else's unattainable, luxurious, and ultimately hollow expectations. The silence that now often fills my apartment is no longer deafening or sad, it's peaceful. It's the sound of a space that is mine, filled with my things reflecting my values. There's no hidden agenda in the decor, no aspirational objects bought to impress, just comfort and utility. I find joy in simple things: a good book, a well-cooked meal, a productive day at work, and the company of true friends. This quiet contentment, this sense of inner peace, is something I once chased in the form of luxury vacations and expensive gifts, believing it would make Novelle happy and by extension me. I was wrong. The real luxury was always within reach, just obscured by a desire to conform to someone else's definition of it. I think about the future with a newfound optimism, unburdened by the weight of external validation. My goals are my own, my dreams are grounded in reality, and my expectations for a partner are based on genuine connection and mutual respect. I'm no longer afraid of being average in someone else's eyes because I've redefined what exceptional means to me. It means being kind, being honest, being resilient, and building a life of integrity. And as for luxury, I've found it in the freedom of authenticity, in the warmth of true companionship, and in the quiet satisfaction of knowing I'm living my own best life, without the need for a perfectly filtered, passive-aggressive Instagram post to define it. The entire experience was a crucible, burning away illusions and forging a stronger, more self-aware version of myself. I learned that sometimes the most painful endings are the most liberating, especially when they expose fundamental incompatibilities that were holding you back. I'm still working through some of the emotional scars, but each day brings more clarity, more healing. I no longer check her social media, no longer wonder what she's doing. My focus is entirely on my own growth, my own happiness, and building a future defined by my own values, not by anyone else's demand for luxury. It's a quiet revolution happening within me, and it feels absolutely incredible. My perspective on relationships and indeed on life has shifted profoundly. I now understand that true partnership requires honesty, empathy, and a shared vision that transcends material desires. It's about navigating challenges together, communicating openly, and respecting each other's financial realities and aspirations. I'm much more attuned to early warning signs, to those subtle cues that hint at deeper incompatibilities. The experience taught me to prioritize substance over superficiality and genuine connection over performative displays. It was a harsh education, delivered via an Instagram post, but it was an education I desperately needed to grow into the person I am meant to be. The quiet evening spent with friends, laughing over silly stories, feels more luxurious now than any five-star resort ever could. The comfortable silence with a potential new partner discussing dreams and fears is more valuable than any designer handbag. This shift in perspective, this recalibration of what constitutes value and wealth, is the true legacy of that fateful Instagram post. It shattered a superficial world, allowing me to build a more authentic one in its place. And for that, I can finally say, without a trace of irony or bitterness, thank you, Novelle, for showing me what true luxury isn't. I sometimes wonder if Novelle ever truly understood the impact of her post, or if she still genuinely believes it was just a vibe. Part of me hopes she eventually learns the lesson about respect and genuine partnership, but another part knows that some lessons can only be learned through personal experience, through the consequences of one's own actions. Regardless, her journey is no longer intertwined with mine. My focus remains steadfast on my own path, building a life filled with meaning, connection, and a quiet, authentic luxury that doesn't need to be advertised or validated by anyone else. This is my new reality, and it feels incredibly, wonderfully real. The market has since recovered and my finances are back on track, even better than before. But my values have remained changed, solidified by the experience. I still work hard, I still save, and I still aspire to a comfortable life, but the Y asterisk has fundamentally shifted. It's no longer about proving anything or meeting external expectations. It's about security, about freedom, and about building a future based on my own terms. The money is a tool, not a measure of my worth, and certainly not a means to appease someone else's desire for an unattainable, curated version of luxury. This clarity is the real prize, the true gold, that emerged from the ashes of that relationship. So if you're reading this and you're struggling with a partner who prioritizes luxury over loyalty, or who uses social media to subtly undermine you, take a good, hard look. Are you truly happy? Are your values aligned? Are you being respected? Sometimes the most painful truths are delivered in the most unexpected ways, like an Instagram story that shatters your illusions and ultimately sets you free. Don't settle for average in your relationships. Seek genuine partnership, mutual respect, and a shared vision of what truly constitutes a rich and fulfilling life. That's the real luxury, and it's worth fighting for. If you've ever been in a moment like this, I'd really like to hear how you handled it. Sometimes the comments say what the heart never could. Maybe your story, your advice, or even just your perspective could help someone who's still standing where I once was, staring at the pieces, wondering what to do next. Don't hold back. Honesty has a strange way of healing more than just the person who writes it.